I Yukti, you are a software developer and you have been living in USA for over 7 years. So I brought you today so that you could share your experience, how it is, how the culture is.
Yeah, so far the culture of US is amazing. Uh, I think one of the biggest things that मुझे US की बहुत ज़्यादा पसंद है. And also before, like, is it an English base or Hindi English base? Like, sorry.
English, में English,
Okay, perfect. Okay. So one of the
right?
things I like about US more, like, which is something I really like, is like their friendliness. So, like when you're just walking down a street, you don't even know the person, and it's like the person's coming towards you, they will just greet you like, "Hey, how are you? How it's a wonderful morning." So, like, I can personally share this. Like, some days I'm not having it. Like, I'm having really bad days. So, if I am walking down a park or something and I see strangers coming in, they would just still greet me like, "Hey, how are you?" And that just one thing just changes all. It's like you feel like, okay, so there are people who you don't know, but they're like so nice to you that you just feel like home, like that feeling of like belonging somewhere. So I think that's one of the best thing about US so far. And while if I compare that to India, people don't really care about you, unfortunately, in that way. So, but yeah, that's one of the biggest thing, and also like their culture of saying, thank you, like, thank you,
Hmm.
sorry, excuse me, you're welcome, like just being humane and having that personal touch. I think that's definitely one of the biggest things I really loved here, which
Right.
we lack in India. But on the contrary, I think like yeah, on the contrary, I'm so sorry, my tree. On the contrary, I think one of the things about India, which
Hmm.
is different from here, is family culture. So over here,
Right.
like people don't have that big of a family culture how we have back in India. So we all know about family. Like over here, they have
Hmm.
like certain way they spend time. So they all have their own personal time, which they respect.
Hmm.
And like family is a big thing to us. Family comes first.
Hmm.
It's so not so much here. They have their own
Hmm.
personality. That's what they value. So yeah,
Hmm.
that those are the two biggest differences. I think pros and cons of
Right.
Indian life.
As a woman, how safe do you think US is?
Oh, absolutely safe. Like I can just it's about 1 a.m. I can just drive down and I know I'll be safe. Like nothing's gonna happen here. So I drive. I come home like late at night. I come like 11. I come 12. But for not even in 1 second, my family thinks like I'm unsafe or I feel like I'm unsafe here. If
Hmm.
at any point I'm at a place where I feel like I'm unsafe, I can just call the cop, and within less than a minute, if I tell them I'm unsafe, I would have like cops in there. So super safe. Like yeah, that's actually right. That's one of the biggest difference as well. In India, I
Hmm.
cannot even think about like once it's dark, I
Yeah.
cannot even think about
Yeah.
going outside.
Even I
Yeah,
can't go in the dark.
like even if it's like the daytime, I would definitely
Right.
like not going alone. I would definitely have like a
Yeah.
friend or a parent or brother or whatever, but not going out alone, no way. So yeah, that's another very big difference. This country is
Yeah.
much safer.
And you can wear whatever you want, speak to whoever you want.
That's true. Like, so I think my personality changed to come in here. Because when I was back in India, I was like very reserved, as people called it,
Right.
because I chose not to talk to everyone, because not
Hmm.
everyone has like the best interest in the heart, right?
Hmm.
But over here, I can just talk to strangers, and I know they're like just nice, and I'm just gonna meet them for the first time, maybe the last time I'm gonna see them. But they're like very nice. They're very respectful of who you are, and they don't judge you. I think that's the biggest point. They just
Hmm.
you're who you are, and you can just be who you are. You don't have to like pretend to be someone else.
It's beautiful. And how is the education system?
The education system here is expensive. One, I don't know why. So I came here from a bachelor's, and it's too expensive. But then at the same time, I think they focus on the overall development more than just what you do. So
Right.
even though I am a comp sci major, I did my undergrad from here, but still I had to take classes for history, like language, social sciences, and like others like arts and stuff. So they were more focused on the part like how I grew out as a person rather than just learning what my major was. So I just didn't do computer science and math or like physics, chemistry, which was like science. I also did history and just understand like how American history works. So that just made me
Hmm.
feel a little closer. And also I went to a college which was like a Catholic college. So their culture was
Right.
not like my culture, right?
Yeah.
But they were very respectful of where I come from. There was like no they were not forcing me to part of their masses or whatever. They were like very respectful, even though they had classes where they taught about Catholic culture, but they also had a chapter on Bhagavad Gita. So that made me feel like okay, so they're respectful not just about their own self, but they're also like supporting other cultures. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's pretty nice.
And what was your experience with the healthcare system? Is it expensive as well?
Healthcare system here is super expensive, no doubt. So that's why you need an insurance for a fact.
Right.
Also, I think the healthcare system for me, I felt better was like in India. Like if I have something, I can just rush to a doctor right now, and they will, see me. Over here, you have to
Hmm.
like book appointments, and I don't see appointments like for 2 months sometimes. And I'm like, what if I need the help right now? Like you
Right.
just need
Right. Right.
you just
Right.
sometimes if you need like urgent help, you need to call
Hmm.
either like the emergency services, or you have to go to urgent care, or you have to like go to ER and stuff. But if you want to see your doctor like right now, that's not happening. You have to wait for
Hmm.
2 months for sure, and expensive. So with insurances,
Hmm.
it costs you less. But if you don't have an insurance, you're pretty much doomed. There's no way.
Hmm.
It's a financial big financial issue.
Like we were talking about the issue of family. Is it easier to raise family, or everyone is like divorced half the time? How's it
I'm
like?
sorry to hear you. What about families?
Uh, yeah, we were talking about family values and stuff, right? So, how's the divorce rate, and like, are people more inclined towards having a family?
That is a great question. So I don't know about divorce rates, so I'm not gonna comment on that. But
Okay.
talking about families in general here, so I know a lot of my friends who are from here. Their
Hmm.
lifestyle is like they stay home till they're 18. They're doing their high school. They stay home, but once they're 18, they move out and they have their own separate life than their parents' life is, and
Hmm.
then they don't interfere with each other, but like they see each other on big holidays. They have like Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, their birthdays or their mom's birthdays, their Mother's Day, Father's Days. But like events like that is when they meet each other. But
Hmm.
except that, it's like kids have their life, parents have their life. They don't interfere in each other's life. So that's their culture, which
Hmm.
what their life. I have no comments on that. Everyone has their own culture.
Right. And how impactful would you say is the president's policy on an individual level? Like, does it affect you?
As of right now, the current president's policy does not really affect me, or I don't think it ever did. It
Right.
doesn't make anything better for me. It doesn't make anything worse for me. Like I personally, as an individual, does not feel affected of either way. So
Okay.
I've been fine.
Okay. So, tell me something about New Jersey, man.
New Jersey, it's an amazing place, and you should definitely visit. But just apart, uh, New Jersey is like I think it's near to New York City, so it's like our biggest its selling point is that we're in New York City, even though we are not New York. But so I what else to talk about? It's more like New Jersey. We are the only
Right.
state in the US who have people, putting fuels in a car, and we don't have to figure
Hmm.
out who fuels. So that's
Hmm.
our big thing, and we are the best drivers.
Okay.
So you know,
Speaking about speaking about the rights that people have, are they enforced? Like, can people approach courts easily, and are the police cooperative?
yep. At least for the region I've like for almost 7 years I've been living in Jersey, and I think it's one of the very diverse state I live in.
Hmm.
So I personally feel like yes, if at given any time, even though I am not really a citizen, even if I personally go and talk about my rights, they definitely believe in human rights. They don't
Hmm.
care who you are, but like if you need help, you're gonna get help,
Hmm.
irrespective of what you are, who you are, where you're from. That's the secondary question for them. So I personally have never felt like my rights have been violated at any given point. They have always been very respectful, and I feel like part of being here. It doesn't feel like I'm not. part of America.
Hmm.
So I've been just lucky about that. I know people have had different experiences here, but I
Hmm.
personally have not like felt like that. So I'm not gonna comment on that on someone
Right.
else's experience. Mine was
Right.
wonderful. The comments.
And what about the issue of racism? Do you feel it is prevalent?
Well, okay, that's actually a very big point for US, but like I said, I have. I think it's just because New Jersey is like such a diverse state. Like you just don't have like one kind of people. You have like every kind of
Hmm.
people living. So I have never found racism. Like
Hmm.
never ever. I know people have they had like their rights violated at some point, and they felt like maybe they were getting like discriminated against where they belong to. And I've heard those cases as well, but
Right.
I have personally never gone through that. Also, you can say that I'm in the IT industry, so it's like Indians led industry. So I've never been the only minority anywhere. So I personally have never felt anything about racism. I've seen others face
Right.
it, so I know it exists. For sure it does, but never personally felt it. So, lucky me.
7 years ago, when it was your first day here, how did you feel?
Oh, it was super overwhelming. Like, it's so funny,
Right.
but I come from like TPS, so you know it's
Right.
like TPS world,
Right.
like dips. Yeah, cool. But when I came here, this was like a completely different world. Like for starting, when I spoke to someone, they didn't understand what I'm saying, and
Hmm.
when they were saying something, I didn't understand what they're saying. So earlier, like I think a couple of my months took like it took me a couple of months for sure to get adjusted to the culture, how they talk, and I never went to high school here, so they have their own high school things which they talk about, and I was never part of their high school culture, so I don't understand how this will work. So
Hmm.
I really felt like left out, and my college was like a small community. It wasn't like I didn't have like a lot of international students, so most of them were
Hmm.
like in-state students. So just being part with them, understanding them, being friends with them, it was like really hard in the start. But yeah, I think it took me a couple of months, like how they dress up, their college life, their college lingos, their the shows they see, the way they talk, how they you know, present. I think one of the
Right.
biggest thing I faced was actually the public speaking part, because like when I spoke, they didn't
Right.
understand what I'm saying at all. Like I would just say something and they were like, "What?" And I was like, I tried so hard explaining like what I mean, and then when they
Hmm.
spoke, I just didn't understand them that much.
Right.
But then eventually, I think I started picking up how they see the words and stuff,
Hmm.
and that's how I learned. One of the very funny
Right.
joke I tell everyone about it is, like how we say in India, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's not Wednesday here; it's Wednesday. So like
Right.
quoting friends, one day Monday, 2 day Tuesday, three Wednesday, third day Thursday. So like yeah, so that was like one of the jokes I
Right.
tell everyone, but it's not Wednesday; it's Wednesday. So it took me a while to understand how
Hmm.
they speak stuff. But now I think I'm pretty much part of it. I guess. Hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You fit the part.
Hope so.
Okay.
Being
So
from
how's the nightlife, the party life? Do you go clubbing?
I don't go clubbing personally, but nightlife here is amazing. I just don't have enough time yet. My work life takes most of my time. I don't have time to go out, unfortunately. But yeah, the nightlife is here. Like not in Jersey. So if you talk about Jersey, like not Jersey part, like Jersey City,
Hmm.
Hoboken, the place which is like near city, that's amazing.
Hmm.
That's their nightlife is amazing. Like sitting by the pier, watching the New York city lights, skyline, and everything. It's amazing. And then New York City is New York City, so the city
Hmm.
never sleeps at night. But for me, my nightlife is zero. It doesn't exist.
Is it because of your work?
Yeah, mostly because of my work. I'm mostly working. I don't have like I don't have. Like, I think it was like back in college. I would have said yes, but now like
Hmm.
my priority is completely different. I don't think I'm like all work. Like I'm mostly all work now. And as it shouldn't
Hmm.
be. There should be work-life balance, but I don't. Not at night.
How's the corporate culture?
Corporate culture is pretty amazing. I mean, so far my last company wasn't nice, but The one I'm working for now is one of the leading not pharma, lab testing company in US.
Hmm.
And being like an SD keyword there, it's amazing. Like I love what I do. I love my work. They are pretty amazing. They appreciate your work. So I definitely love it. Like I've seen people say that they love what they do, but I didn't feel it until I joined this company. I definitely love what I do right now. So I'm super excited just to be there.
And what about the human resource department? Are they strict on sexual harassment laws? Do they give corporate training?
Very strict, very, very strict. Like there
Hmm.
is, if I launch a complaint against anyone, and they will right away just ask me one question, that I am I just talking to them to get this across, or I want an official action on it? That's the one question they ask. And if I say this is official, I want to go on records, they they just talk to me. They will record everything. They will just note. There will be two HRs talking to me, not just one on a call, just two of them, so that they both can take notes of everything. Once that's done, they start an investigation by HR,
Hmm.
like in house. They will talk to my managers, my management manager. They will talk to my colleagues and whoever is in office.
Hmm.
They will talk to everyone, and then they are very strict actions. Like they don't take the law lightly here. If you mess up, you mess up bad. Like there's no way out of it. Like that's pretty amazing. Like that's
Hmm.
something our country needs right now. So I hope India gets that safe too. But for now,
Let's see.
US, yeah, that's pretty good.
What is the cost of living like? Is it more expensive than India?
Yes. Very. Like people say that okay, you are earning in dollars, so you have like a lot of money, but they don't see like how much cost of living is here. Like super
Hmm.
high. Like a pack of chips, which is like 10 rupees in India, it's like cost you what, $1.5 here. That's in $1 is what, 75. So you can only think about
Oh,
it, right?
wow, really?
So that's one of the funny things, because when I came here and I was like by the vending
Yeah.
machine, so I was like, okay, let me just grab a snack, and they're like, the small packet, the small, not even bigger than that, and it costed me $1.5 to buy it. I'm like, I converted it into INR. I'm like, it's expensive. I'm not gonna buy it, but you are here. I mean, why not? It's dollar and a half, but if you compare to India, it's expensive.
So how
Well,
do you manage to live here? Like,
how I manage? I have a home. I have my family here.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
So
right.
I think that was like big point. Like I have my family here. I have like a family home and everything. And also while I was at school, I was just
Hmm.
on my second year, I started like working part time as a maths tutor. Then I started as a security analyst, so in the IT
Hmm.
part. I've always like worked part time when I was in school. After I was in school, I graduated. I got my full time job. And once you work in IT, it's I think it's enough to survive. So
So is part time a requirement to survive in the college?
I don't think it's a requirement. I chose to do it. Like
Right.
I wanted to be independent.
Hmm.
I was like, if I'm in a country like America, which is like country of dreams, and if there's a reason I'm here, right? I want to be something.
Hmm.
I want to
Hmm.
be who I am. Like I want to be a brand. I want to establish myself. So I was like, it's about time. I mean, if kids here does do them, if they go to part-time jobs, so that that's how the culture is, right? So I'm
Hmm.
like, if I want to join this culture, and I definitely want to be independent, and I have an option, then why not?
Hmm.
How,
So you think there are better job opportunities available in US?
absolutely. Well, actually, it depends on what I'm talking about. If you're talking about like part-time jobs, right? So if you think about when you went to college in India and thinking
Hmm.
part-time job, it's very rare, right? People don't really
Yeah.
do a part-time job. They're like all about college. But over here, part-time job is a culture.
Hmm.
They think it's important to be independent. And I'm talking not talking about college. Like I know the kids
Hmm.
here since they turn what 16, they're in high school. They start working. They start collecting their own money for their own colleges. So they are very independent, which I
Hmm.
think separates the kids who are growing up in India and here like immensely. Like in India, we are so dependent on our parents. That's like at least for the starting years after we graduate from high school,
Hmm.
we're so dependent. Over here, no, not so much. They're like independent people. They do their job. They go to college. They save enough to go to college. Actually, most of them, I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Hmm.
It's expensive, but I don't know how they manage, but they do, and stuff like that. But yeah, to answer your question, if you talk about job opportunities in IT field, yeah, they have a lot. Actually, no, you know what? I stand corrected. Everything, it's pretty good here. Like, there's a lot of opportunity. Even if you just want to be like a singer, or you want to work
Hmm.
as a theater artist, they're everything. It's like when they say it's a country of dream, it is a country of dream. If you love
What
something, you can just pursue that.
what makes America great is that there are n number of ways to make money.
Absolutely, no doubts.
You can do anything to that is the beauty of capitalism. And
Yep, and no one
yeah,
judges you. I think that's important.
sorry.
Like, and no one judges you for what you do. Like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
India, if you're doing something which is not up to the
right,
standard of
right,
Indian
right, right,
society,
right,
they will judge you.
right, right.
And especially
Yeah,
like
they judge you a lot. Yeah.
if I'm thinking about like my friends who wanted to go to, like film industry or like in
Hmm.
that one, they were like, it's waste of time, you're wasting your money, why did you get education? Like I've heard people say that.
Hmm.
Over here, if you want to do theater, if you want to be a photographer, if you want to be a musician, if you want to be doing anything, like anything in the world, as long as you're doing it for you, no one really cares. And everyone is like
Hmm.
so supportive. Like if my friends start a business here, all
Hmm.
my friends are going to support that person. Everyone. And they're not going to be like, pulling each other down. They build each other.
Hmm.
But what I've seen in India, I have seen like people starting a business and no one really supports you there. They're like
Hmm.
jealous. I mean, I do understand that India has a lot of competition than we have it here, but that doesn't give anyone right to judge someone for what they're doing. I mean, it's
Hmm.
their life. They're doing what they're doing. If you don't like it, just don't comment. Just don't participate. Just live your life. No one is asking your opinion, right?
And when you say that there is a lot of diversity in New Jersey, so is it like there are many people who come from different countries, immigrants who want to seek opportunity?
Absolutely. I mean, mostly I see here are Indians, but there's a lot of Indians here because, of course, New York City, IT, and everything.
Right.
But it's a very diverse culture. Like I see all people of all races of life here.
Hmm.
And if I talk about immigrants, yes, there are like a lot of immigrants here. But then again, I think it's because we are so close to the city, and living expense in city is like too much. So people
Hmm.
choose to live in Jersey and then commute to city rather than living in city itself.
I mean, I know it's a stupid question to ask because if anyone asks me that is Indian life the same as Bollywood life, so I would. But how different is it like from Hollywood or Netflix that this?
Absolutely different. Like whatever they show in the stories of like Hollywood movies and shows, it's not true. It's definitely not true. It's not how they portray it. Absolutely not.
Hmm.
I wish it was. Like that's what I thought it would be, but it's not. It's completely different. They show it's like all party, less work. No, it's more work, but less party.
Okay.
So it's clearly not it. It's like you watching Student of the Year and thinking that's how the Indian school life is, but it's not right.
Hmm.
Similar thing. It's not what they show. Not at all.
Where all have you traveled in US?
Oh, pretty much the whole East Coast, starting from top Ohio. Like I've gone to the whole East Coast, till Florida. So Ohio to Florida, all of the states. Then I've been to Arkansas. I've been to California on the west side. I'm thinking. I'm pretty sure I'm missing states, but
You went
yeah,
to LA.
I have been to LA. I love LA.
How was it?
LA, to me, LA is a good place to visit. I won't say I would
Hmm.
ever live there. I would like to. It's expensive. One, the living cost is like super high.
Right, it
Like
is expensive.
second part, the life is like so slow. Like they start their day at 9, and when you live in New York, life is like so fast. You wake up, you run, run, run. I mean, LA, it's like slow. You're working. Like I loved that life for vacation purposes, but I don't think I will ever want to move in there. It's, it's just not who I am. I'm like a person who's like quick, fast life. I cannot do slow, not at all. But LA is beautiful. I have
Hmm.
been to Beverly Hills. hoping that I would run into some celebrity, but I didn't. So I'm kind of sad. But in general, it's very pretty, and I love the beaches. So the Pacific
Yeah,
Ocean is there.
there
Like
must be a lot of beaches. Yeah,
they have wild beaches. Like the
yeah.
you never know which wave would come next. But
Hmm.
it's different from East Coast completely. It's good
Hmm.
for vacation purposes, like I said. Not somewhere I will live ever.
Right. And what about drug use? Is it rampant? Is it fixed to places like LA or the black neighborhood, or is it
What I couldn't hear you. What's fixed?
the drug use?
Oh, drug use. I I don't know. Like I definitely don't have much knowledge on that experience. I know like
Uh,
in half of the
Matlab, you
states.
can't see it
Yeah, I
in
don't. I
front of
don't.
you.
No. It's like I know marijuana is like legal as a medical drug in a lot of states, including New Jersey now.
Hmm.
I don't know other states, but I'm pretty sure no, New Jersey has legalized marijuana as a legal drug.
Hmm.
For medicine uses, of course, you cannot be carrying it around. Um, but I don't like see deals happening in front of me, so I'm not gonna be like, know what's going on. I'm sure people
Hmm.
use it, but I don't have much experience to comment on any of it.
And when you say that, suppose bag of chips are expensive, what about technology? Because most of the things are, imported in India.
Mm-hmm.
It has a duty tax on it, so it makes them pretty expensive.
Yeah,
So, what about US?
I think a lot of manufacturing happens not in US.
Right.
So like we have a lot, we have a lot of manufacturing coming from China or
Hmm.
India. India is like cheap labor. Um, so I personally don't think there's like a lot of expense. Like I know for a fact like iPhones are so cheap here in India. So there's like a big difference. Well, my friends always ask me to bring iPhones back, so that's how I know. But yeah, I don't
Really?
think like, oh, you don't know that? Yeah, like iPhones
In
in
US, right?
yeah, it's cheaper
Yeah.
than India.
Right. Right.
It's like my major difference. I'm not
Right.
even talking about little one.
Right.
Major.
And people have a sense of presentability, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They do absolutely.
They just don't show up like a hobo.
They should. I don't know. If you're talking about college students and we have an 8 a.m. class, we are gonna wake up in our flats and
Right.
joggers and half asleep phase with our hair not done. If you're talking about college students, but if you
Right.
talk about internal like work, they are very professional. They know what to do and they know how to present themselves at work. Similarly, if you have like a get together, people are like very well done. Like they know how to dress up and show up at and what's appropriate to do that.
Right.
I don't include college students here because college students are not 8 a.m. classes for sure.
Right.
Others maybe not 8 a.m. classes.
Right. It was very informative talking to you. I'll just stop the recording here.
Okay.
Right.